All right, good morning, sixth grade scientists. So now we're starting to learn about space exploration. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking space exploration, rockets blasting off, and rockets blasting off, delivering satellites into orbit, putting space probes and robots on other planets like on Mars, or orbiting around faraway planets like Jupiter, or all the way out to Pluto or the edges of our solar system, or even rockets blasting off, putting people into space. Well, that's not all of it. So people have been exploring space for a long time. And some of the earliest things they've been doing was using telescopes. And telescopes, at first, they'd look at the sky and they'd use visible light, like Galileo, looking at the light from Venus, noticing that it has different phases, and looking at the light from Jupiter, noticing that it has different moons going around it. Those are the first ways people were exploring space, even with their naked eye and early telescopes using just visible light. But telescopes could detect a lot more than that. They could detect an entire spectrum of electromagnetic radiation. So you probably learned earlier in the year that heat or energy could travel three ways through the universe. It could travel by conduction, where two things touching transfers energy or heat from one place to another. It could travel by convection, where it's windy out today, we have air rising and sinking and transmitting heat that way. Or we could have radiation coming from the sun and hitting the leaves of this plant right here. And that radiation, both the visible light and other types of radiation that we can't see, help this plant grow. So all these different types of radiation are given off by stars. So galaxies and stars give off all this radiation, and we could detect that and learn things about the universe without having to actually go there, or without even having to launch expensive rockets. So by building telescopes here on Earth, or even by putting telescopes out in space, we could detect the different types of electromagnetic radiation. So right now, we're going to go ahead and explore the different types of radiation. So let's go around the house and just look for different types of radiation.
All right, sources of electromagnetic radiation. I've got radio waves from my Wi-Fi router. And oh yeah, here's my transmitter towers that I have in the backyard. And oh yeah, my radio telescope. Here's something else that uses radio waves. And in my kitchen, I've got a microwave. I think some microwaves come out of this. Or some infrared energy, I can turn to my toaster oven. If I look inside that toaster oven, you can see some of those infrared waves coming out of there. Look at that. Now, even a TV remote gives off infrared waves close to visible light to change the volume. And then this tool we used earlier in the year, it measures infrared radiation, and it's got a little laser on it too. And that laser is visible light. These guys are using an ultraviolet light. And I've got one of these things. Maybe you have one too. It's a portable X-ray machine. But careful, it might give off some gamma rays, so you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Now, seriously though, all these different things, all these forms of electromagnetic energy could be used to create pictures like this that have given us clues into how the universe works all the way back to the Big Bang.
All right, so your job today is to read and watch the brain pop about electromagnetic radiation and take some notes. There's a little chart to fill out where you list the 7 types of radiation, what are some uses of each type of radiation, and what are some dangers. So for each of these types of radiation, how could they harm you? How could they be useful? So those are the notes that you're going to create today. And then tomorrow, we'll learn more about space exploration. So stay curious.